What's going on YouTube? Welcome to WestysAngling. Today you're joining me for a new video series which is going to be on cheap supermarket method feeder baits. The whole point of this new video series is going to be to show you that method feeder fishing doesn't have to break the bank when it comes to baits. We're going to be bringing everything back to basics, and we're only going to be using natural baits that you can find in your local supermarket. So hopefully these videos will show maybe the younger generation that have been absolutely bombarded by these big tackle companies and bait companies selling all the latest wafters and things like that. Look, we all have them, we all get sucked into it, but I want to show you that fishing does not have to break the bank and how effective some of these cheap natural baits can be. Today's video, we're going to kick it off with an absolute bait of the ages, which is sweet corn. Now this is Morrison's Savers sweet corn, and I think that cost me 40p. So that's all we're going to be using in this session. So I'm going to dedicate each video to a different bait. This week we're going to be using corn. I'm also only going to be using bread on the method feeder. I'm not going to be using any pellets, I'm not going to be using any expensive ground bait. I've literally just gone for the cheapest white bread that I can find from a local corner shop, literally about 35p. So all I'm going to be using for this video series is bread on the method feeders. The reason being, again, it's a supermarket bait and it's just going to keep everything cheap. All you do is take your standard white loaf and you just whiz it up in a blender. That's it. You can have it as thick as you want, or you can have it in a really fine crumb. I usually like to mix it so I have some fine particles and some chunkier particles to help keep the fish in the swim. Bread breaks down really quickly on the method feeder. You can never overfeed with it. It's an absolutely excellent bait. If you haven't seen some of my other videos on the channel using bread on the method feeder, I'll put a link in the top right hand corner for you. I've already got everything set up. So method feeders are set up. All I'm going to do is tip this out into my bait bucket and we're ready to start fishing. I'm not going to be taking you through the method feeder setup in these videos because there's plenty of videos on the channel that show you how to set up for method feeder fishing. So if you haven't seen them, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and have a look back through because there's plenty on there. So as you can see, this would actually do me for a couple of sessions, this one loaf of bread. So this potentially might have cost me 20p per session. It's nothing, is it? When it's sealed up in a bag like that, it can last weeks. If it gets a little bit dry, just put a couple of handfuls of water in like this. But don't wet it through. Just put a tiny amount in, just to revive it. And if you look at this, so that'll squeeze down perfectly on the method feeder. And that in the water breaks down amazingly. Look at this. Look at that. Can you imagine that cloud of attraction in the water on the bottom? Awesome. I am going to put a little bit of corn in as well. These cheap Savers sweet corns, they don't come with a ring pull. So you might want to spend an extra few pence and get one with a ring pull. I brought a can opener with me, so I'm going to get that open, but that's what we're going to be using today. I'm going to show you a couple of ways of mounting the sweet corn on the method feeder hook lengths. You can do it in a few different ways, but there's one way that I love that's so effective. So there's going to be plenty of baits that I'm going to be doing on this series. So we're going to have both method feeders out today on corn, and we're going to see just how effective this is. We're all set up there. I'm going to put a couple of hook lengths on and I'm going to take you through how I mount the corn. Okay folks, so I've just got some self-tied hook lengths here just to show you the different ways of mounting corn. So I will give you close-ups of these in a second. The GoPro's not great when it comes to focusing in on these small things. So let's get our corn and we'll get that open. you've got to laugh at you, proper poverty corn this. But it works. You don't need the expensive stuff. You don't need Green Giant or out like that. Fish out fussy. There you go, nice big pieces of corn in there. I'm going to put a couple in the mix, not many. I don't want to put too much feed out today until I know that they're feeding. And what I usually do is just put a bit of that juice in with it as well. That corn flavoured juice just can help bring that bread to life a bit, give it a bit of flavour. Use the natural flavourings that are in the corn. Literally just wanted to do this as cheaply as possible for you, just to show that it just doesn't have to break the bank. So all this setup here is less than 80p. That's amazing for a full day's fishing. And like I said, this will do you 2 sessions if you're going 2 days in a row. So I'm just filming and my dad's already into a fish. Look at that, that's a cracker. So my dad's just had this out the margin. He's been fishing probably 2 or 3 minutes now, so it's a great sign for today. So I'll put a rig down the margin today and probably have one probably over to that aerator. So 3 different ways that I'd mount corn. This is my second favourite way of mounting corn, which is literally just a bandit crossways, and that is really secure. You're not going to lose your corn fishing like that. That's how I used to band it. How I band it now, and this is a tip that one of my subscribers gave me, you put your baiting needle through the top of the corn, so through the open end, going down to the thick end, and then you stretch your bait band out with the baiting needle like that. Then you just ease your corn down over the band, all the way over the knot, and there you go. Your band is completely buried in the bait, but what's happened is it's actually expanded within the corn itself, so that doesn't pull through. Absolutely amazing way. If you don't know how to tie up your own method feeder hook lengths, by the way, I'll put a link in the top right hand corner now for you of how to do that. So the third way, and probably my least favorite way, is with a quick stop or a hair rig. Now the reason that I don't like this is I don't like any plastic on top of the corn. The fish have really sensitive mouths, and I feel that they can potentially detect it. So all you do is you push this through the bottom of the bait, out the top, and then you turn the bait stop over the top of the corn, and there you go. So it's a quick way of doing it, but probably my least favourite just because of the plastic. And that's the same as a hair rig. It's just a quicker way of doing it. So let me give you a close-up of those. So there we go, folks. That's the 3 ways that I'd mount corn. Obviously banding tool for the banded version, but the cheapest is probably just with the band, using a baiting needle like that. Very effective way. Obviously all the hook points clear, which is what you want. So this was my favourite way of banding, but that other way is so much better. This has its uses, and I'll probably band this way on one rod and that way on the other, and we'll see if there's any difference. And that's with the quick stop or hair rig. So we'll put these 2 hook lengths on with the mounted corn. Again, keeping with the money saving aspect, these are just cheap eBay banjo feeders. They cost me about £1.50 each. Very inexpensive. Like I said, I just want to show you that method feeder fishing doesn't have to break the bank. You don't need all these expensive feeders, but that's what I'm going to be using today. I'm in, guys, down the margin. I haven't even got my other rod out yet. On the corn and bread. I don't want to give it too much stick. I'm only fishing with 8-pound line. And there's some crumpers in here, that's for sure. I don't think it's massive. It's not taking much line anyway. Got my drag set fairly tight. Lovely rods, these Shimano Speedmasters. Unfortunately, I don't think you can get them anymore. Really soft rods. Take all the lunges. Absolutely awesome feeder rods. I've had these a good few years now, and they've done me well. They're a 9 to 11 foot, which means they have an extendable section to make them longer, but I usually keep them on this configuration in the 9 foot. There's the corn in the mouth. Boom. Look at this. Nice carp, that. There's the corn. And that's banded. Look at that. It's not far off £5, that. Absolutely lovely looking mirror. Bonny fish. Yes, straight away. Just shows you how effective bread and corn can be. Fish in the first couple of minutes. So that was on the banded around the middle configuration. Obviously just running banjo feeders. And yeah, down the margin. So they moved into the margins. It's not mega warm, to be quite honest with you. It's probably about 9 degrees, something like that, but they're already down there. It's quite deep in the margins here. Right, let's see if we can get both rods out. Now, depending on how full on the fishing is, I might just swap down to one rod. As you know, guys, if you're following the channel, I like to fish with 2 rods. Just adds to the excitement and entertainment value. There we go. That's the feeder loaded up. Let's get that flick down the margin again. So again, guys, just need to keep an eye on my rod. Keep an eye on my rod for me. Just feeding the baiting needle through the corn, through the open end, stretching it out with my baiting needle, and then pushing it down onto a stretched band with my thumb. Then the band opens out, you pull it into the corn, and there you go, that's perfectly mounted. The whole band's buried in the corn, ready to go. What I sometimes like to do when I'm fishing with bread is load it by hand and just squeeze a load of bread into the feeder just to get it started. Then push the hook into the bread and then use my mould to just lightly press a load of bread over the top, like that. Check my drag, drag's alright. Always make sure your drag's right before you cast out. You don't want to be getting broke. Just start there towards that aerator. Still not quite warm enough for me to take my winter suit off yet, but it's definitely getting there. Just had a few plucks on this left hand rod, so I'm expecting that to go around in a minute. Like I said, there's some decent carp in here. They'll literally just rip it off my wrist. Sorry about that, folks, I was just paying the bailiff. I've just had another small common. My dad's fishing the same way but on bite alarms. He's had 4 fish since I started filming this morning, so they're obviously on the feed. Got one rod over to the aerator. I could probably do with it being a little bit past that, but that's where all the bubbles are coming up. Probably about, I don't know, 6 foot past the aerator. And then my other one I've just got down this margin next to the reeds. Let's recast this margin rod. That's been in probably about 10 minutes now. Oh, snagged on something. I was actually snagged on something in the margin then, guys. That's probably why that's not gone round. Might have been one of them reeds that's fallen down. Who knows? Let's put a new piece of corn on as well. It's a bit battered, that one already. What a nice long piece for mounting it like this. Oh, Dad's had a good run there. Margin rod again, Dad. That's his margin rod again. He's having a good day today. I am too so far, to be honest. Right, let's flick this back down the margin. I'm not going to go as tight in this time, just in case there's snags down there. Again, keeping an eye on the other rod. That'll do us. Lovely colours on it, that one. Really nice colour. Scar on that side of it. So the wind's changed and it's blowing right into us, which can be really good here. It's quite a mild wind as well. Not had anything since those first couple of fish, but I think it's only a matter of time. Definitely landed the aerator rod right on that patch of bubbles. Obviously we all know how good a bait corn is. Speaks for itself. Definitely a bait of the ages. Probably one of the best fishing baits that you can use for a multitude of species, not just for carp. Don't think there's many fish that you won't catch on it. But I thought there's no better bait to kick this series off than corn. It's cheap, it's effective, works perfectly on the method feeder. You can mount it in a multitude of ways to suit your fishing, but we'll be doing some obvious supermarket baits and some not so obvious supermarket baits. Baits that you probably might not have thought of, or you didn't think that'd be effective, but hopefully in this series I'm going to be able to show you that they are, and maybe you'll add them to your arsenal. I'm as guilty as everybody else. If you're following the channel, you know that I use wafters in probably 90% of my fishing, so I'm guilty for it as well. But let's bring everything back to basics, try the natural baits and see where it gets us. I'm sure there'll be situations where natural baits will catch you more fish than wafters will, and vice versa. I'm definitely not saying that you should bin all your artificial baits and wafters and things like that, but I think we should all try these natural baits from time to time. I'm sure a lot of you do already, but again, this is for the younger generation that might not know how effective these cheap baits can be. Look at this that my dad's just caught. Look at the size of that gudgeon. That's proper, that, isn't it? Yeah. This is a shot off. Absolutely shot off. Gonna put this other one on bait runner. Looks like a nice fish, this. Another mirror. Ooh, really fighting. Look at this one, this is a beauty. Absolute beauty. Drag's gone a little bit bust on this reel. Might have to get I might have to get another couple of reels. Look at that. Stunner. Almost a fully scaled. I think that's one of the prettiest fish I've caught in here. Just hooked in the bottom of the lip. I might have to get my dad to take a picture of that one. That's a lovely fish. Look at that. Look at this. Absolutely bonny mirror that. Oh. On light tackle on the corn. Really chunky mirror carp. Yeah, just.
So is that what they call a linear?
I think the linear just has one line of scales down the middle.
Yeah.
I think that's what a linear is. Obviously fully scaled miller is everything, and then leather carp have absolutely no scales at all. But look at the colours on that. Stunning fish. Almost ornamental. I think it's bigger than that, Dad. I think it's bigger than that. It's got a belly on it. I think it's a good £6 that. Yeah, you definitely don't get a scale from on the camera, but really fat mirror. Wonder if I'm going to have time to make a brew before my rod goes round. Probably going to end up all over me this. Put that lid on tight. Probably give it another 5 minutes and have a recast. They're clearly feeding today, so we want a good amount of bait going in. Bread dissolves quickly as well, so you probably have to cast out more often than you would with pellets. Just thinking about recasting it as well. I don't think it's massive. We put a bend in these little rods though. These small carp, not too bad. See if I can net it over my other rod. So I seem to be catching mostly mirrors today, and my dad seems to be catching mostly commons. It's odd, isn't it? Look at that. It's not actually a bad fish, that. Right, just put my head cam on, put my bait runner on this rod so it don't get dragged in. And we'll have a look at this one on the mark. It's a nice fish. Really fat, chunky mirror carp. I think they're getting ready for spawning, because this looks like a female fish and it's got quite a belly on it, so I think they could be getting ready for spawning. Look at that, lovely chunky fish, really bonny carp, all in good condition. There she goes. We've got a fish on there. We've got a fish on there. Literally within 2 minutes. Tighten up to that other one. I don't think this is massive, but I think it's woken up a little bit now. Got my drag set fairly low, because like I said, it's playing up, so I don't want the stiff drag losing me a fish. Next one over there. A lot of you have commented on why I swap hands when I'm netting, and it's because I have a bad shoulder on this side. It's an old rugby injury from years ago, and netting with my left arm can be a little bit of a struggle, so I usually swap hands like this, and I use my strong arm, which is my right, to net the fish. But yeah, a lot of you have picked up on the fact that I swap hands. It's only a little mirror, this. Nice looking fish though. Here we go, look at that little mirror carp. I think they put some extra fish in here. There seems to be a lot more mirrors than the last time we came. Tell you what folks, I'm not sure what kind of fish my dad's into here, but he's been playing it ages and it just keeps stripping him. Certainly going well, isn't it, Dad?
Yeah, it is. It feels better.
Does it? Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. Just keep them down,
Brought my rods in so we can have a look at this. Listen to that reel. Just on the left. Literally close into the margins. It seems where the bigger fish are. I'll switch it back on when it's a little bit closer because it's absolutely pulling drag. Making some steaming runs. Maybe. Sure you've not got your bait runner on? It's coming in the margins. Oh god, that's a good fish. That's a nice carp. That's a nice carp. Big common. Look who my dad's caught. Eh? Not seen this fish in a while. It's no lip Linda, that, Dad.
Yeah.
It is.
Honestly.
Yeah. You can tell with the mouth. So this is this is the fish that I caught 3 times last year. Absolute warrior of a fish. Stacked on some pounds. Let's weigh her. Well, that fish is stacked on a couple of pounds, I think. So the last time I weighed her, she was 11, I think. What are you weighing now, Linda? Look at the belly on it. It's a greedy fish, this. Did you reset with the net?
It's 0 with the net.
Okay, so
Well,
she's put on about half a pound.
11.2.
Cracking fish.
I'll wait net.
I'll put a link in the top right hand corner to a video that shows you me catching this fish 3 times. But that's definitely that fish, Dad.
Is it?
Yeah, 100%. Look at the mouth. Well, good to see you again, Linda. Let's get her back.
Oh, that's it.
Hey. Right, let's get my rods back out. Can you believe it? We've caught that fish 4 times in the last 12 months. Amazing. Definitely the same fish. Very distinguishable mouth scarring. Only on one side of the mouth. Quite a scraggy fish, but she's definitely been caught a few times. This is turning into an absolutely epic day on the corn. Let's re-rig this and get it back out. We lost our corn on that last fish. Again, stretching it out, pulling it down over the knot, release the band, pull it back up a touch, and you're good to go. And just pressing a little bit of bread into the feeder there, nice and tight. Putting the hook in, and then just moulding some bread around the outside gently, or you can do it with the mould if you want, as long as it's not too tight. And then what I normally do is put some on the outside, and what that does is it breaks off on the cast, and it'll actually fall through the layers and bring the fish down on the feed if they're in the upper layers. That's what I find. Okay, so we need to be about there. That's cracking, that. And we'll go back down the margin, because that seems to be producing the vast majority of the fish today. Not all of them. Turn that drag down a touch. Yeah, it's definitely not right, that drag on that reel. It's very stiff. I'll have to have a play about with that when I get in. See if I can fix it. Let's find a decent piece of corn. There we go. And this one will just stretch the band out like we've been doing, and just band it with a banding tool. A bit more bait out down this margin and just underarm it. That one was a touch further out from the side. That's my setup. So this rear arm is actually used for pole socks, or it's meant to be, but it's just perfect. And obviously I've got these grips that just secure the rods, so if I'm filming and I manage to get a fish on one or the other one, it's not going to get my rod dragged in. Absolutely archaic reels, Shimano Aero bait runners, 4000s, Shimano Speedmaster rods, which are, again, I don't think you can get anymore. Awesome rods. 1.5 and 2 ounce tips I'm using. I just want to say as well, guys, I really appreciate everybody's nice comments on the channel and on the videos. I just want to let you know as well that there is a WestysAngling Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. So I'm on all of those social medias if you need to contact me for whatever reason, or you can get me at westysangling@gmail.com if you have any specific questions or business inquiries or anything like that. Always try and get back to people where I can. Obviously sometimes life gets in the way and I do get busy. A little bit of a twitch on that left hand rod then. Always try and get back to people in the comments as well. So if you've got any questions or anything like that, please feel free to drop a comment down below. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, now's your chance to do so, and you won't miss any more of this series. We'll be trying out loads of different baits, so it's something to look forward to and something a little bit different. I'll still be keeping up with the Fishery reviews, so we'll probably do a Fishery review one week and then maybe one of these bait tests the week after. Who knows? Tons of bubbles coming up, maybe 4 or 5 rod lengths out, just in line with the aerator. Drag my feeder arm around this one. It's only small. It's a little F1. Very high energy fish though. Might net it across my other rod. That's what's a little bit tricky. Got it. Might have to recast that left hand rod as well because dragged the feeder, I think. That's a nice F1. Look at this. Cracking F1. There's not many F1s in here, but that's a nice one. Yeah, that fish shot off so fast it actually pulled my whole feeder arm round. And I think it's moved this left hand feeder, so I'm going to recast it, put some more bait out. There's a big common moving around my swim, just picking off bits of bread that are floating up to the top. Well folks, we all know corn's a winning bait, so this video is not proving anything to anyone, but me and my dad have both had a brilliant day on it today. I'm hoping for a couple more before we pack up, but corn definitely gets a thumbs up for the cheap supermarket baits challenge. I'm sure it's a bait that you all already implement in your feeder fishing, but if you don't, I definitely suggest that you do. Cheap, bright, effective, packed with flavour, and all coarse fish love it. That is why you put the bait runner on. Another F1 actually. Hardly ever catch F1s here. Don't think they get a look in. Really dark one. Oh, missed it. Shaping wooden. There we go. Another nice F1, folks. Really dark bronze coloured one. Another F1 dead. Okay folks, so we're going to call it a day there and get packed up. Hope you agree that it's been an absolutely epic first episode in the supermarket method feeder baits with the corn, as I thought it would be. So I just want to say once again, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next Westies Angling. I'm trying to keep an eye on my rod, so that's why I keep turning round. I don't want them going in. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Westies Angling.